Hello everyone, in this video I'm going to show you how to use the Excel for calculating time value of money. So all the examples that I'm going to use here are same that we already have done it in class within chapter 5 and 6, but I'm just going to show you how to do them in Excel now, and based on that you should be able to work on the project that I am going to assign. So there is this Excel file which has a tab for every different function that we are going to use, and I'm going to post this file separately for you so you can take a look at it even outside the video and play around with it if you want. So first tab we have is present value. So we're trying to find the present value. So there are two ways of doing it. First, you could say, I know the function that we have for present value is called PV. So I could just say equals PV and then start the parentheses. But if you didn't know that, what you could do is go to this FX button up here and click on insert function, and then you could look for what type of function. So we are looking for financial functions, and then within that it shows you all the functions, and as you click on any of those, if you didn't know, you can just, let's say, click on FV. It'll show you returns the future value of an investment based on periodic constant payment and a constant interest rate. So you can scroll around and find out the function that you are looking for, and we are looking for PV, so that's that. I selected that, clicking on OK. Then it brings me to this screen, which again shows you what are the input values that you need to put. So first it is asking rate, and up down below it shows rate is the interest rate per period. For example, 6% divided by 4 for quarterly payments. So annual payments will be 6, for semi-annual it will be 6 by 2, and so on. So in the example that we have here, it's an annual investment, so you have 7% interest rate, so we are going to put 0.07, that's 7%. Then it is asking what are the number of periods, NPER. NPER is the total number of payments period in an investment. So in this question we have 3 years. Then it is asking payment. This is the payment made each period and cannot change over the life of the investment. So this is if you had the same payment every single period, so like an annuity, which we learned in chapter 6. In this particular example, we don't have any payments, so we can put 0 or leave it blank. Future value is, in this case, it's saying suppose you need $10,000 in 3 years. So our goal is to have the future value of $10,000 in 3 years. So that's the future value. And then type is something about the ordinary annuity versus annuity due, which we didn't talk about it in the class. But what it means is that if the first payment that starts at the beginning of time period 1, or does it start at the end of the time period 1. So that's the difference. For example, rent you will pay at the beginning of the month. So those are annuity due type example. Whereas ordinary annuity, when you make the payment on 31st December, okay, so or 31st of every month, I mean. So we can leave it out. By default, it's going to consider it a regular end of the period payment. So when you click on OK, it is going to give you the answer that the present value is $8,162.98. And it is negative. So again, based on what we learned in the class, that when the future value is positive, or one of the cash flow is positive, the other one has to be negative. So here what we are saying is that if you invest $8,162.98 today at the 7% interest rate, you can earn $10,000 in 3 years. So that will be equal to $10,000 in 3 years. So that is the first function that we have. So again, if you knew already that it is present value functions, you could start, say, equals present value and start the parentheses. And even without going into that FX mode, it shows you here as well that what do you need to put in. So again, the interest rate is 7%, so 0.07. So this is slightly different than the calculator. In the calculator, we would put 7, but here in Excel, we have to put it at 0.07, like we would put in the formula if we were to use, we would say 0.07. So be careful about that. Number of periods is 3, NPER. And when you put comma, it highlights what is the next thing that we are looking for, payment. So remember earlier we had put in 0, but if you didn't put anything, you could just put another comma saying there is no value for payment. And the future value is $10,000. And then you end the parentheses, hit enter. That's basically the present value. So another thing that we can do in Excel, sometimes let's say if I wanted to see what happens if I have a goal of saving $20,000. So one way is that you can go in the formula and change. Other way is that what we can do is we can first have an input area. So we can say this is my input area, and where I have different values that are given to me. So that's $10,000. Then we have 7% as the interest rate, and we have number of periods as 3. So now when we are solving for present value, instead of writing the values in the formula, we can point it to a cell. So I can say my rate comes from cell A12. My number of periods are in cell A13. There is no payment, and my future value comes from A11. And the parentheses, enter, and we'll get the answer as that. So now we could just do sensitivity analysis here if you wanted. What if I had 4 years? Change it. Answer is different. What if I had only 2 years? Of course, you need to save a little bit more. Same thing if the goal was to put in $20,000, then of course you need to save more, and so on. So you could change the input values and it will automatically change your answer based on those input values. So that's another way of doing it. So that is all that we have for present value. Okay. Next, then we have is the future value. So in this example, suppose you invest $1,000 at 5% per year. How much will you have in 5 years from now? So again, the formula I know is future value, otherwise you could find it. So here then you would say the interest rate is 0.05. The number of periods in the example is 5 years, and there is no payment again, and we are investing $1,000. So $1,000 is going out of my pocket. So that is negative 1,000 present value. Close the parentheses, and then the value is $1,276.28. Same thing, you could create an input area. You could then have an formula which is referring to the cell values, cell numbers, instead of having the values in them directly.